I've been heavily spiritually attacked over the past few days, and I've had more temptations with greed and lust in the past few days than I have in probably the last few weeks combined. And it's almost like the devil is just really trying to give me all of the opportunities to just sell myself out. And I know that because there's more women that are throwing themselves at me now, and there's more financial opportunities presenting themselves to me. And while this is fantastic, and I'm really pleased with the provisions that are being available and made available to me, I'm also seeing that a lot of the times when people want to buy you out and they want you to sell out, what they're usually trying to do is to make you quit. And when you're prompted to quit by these kinds of spiritual attacks, it's important to understand that they might be right to some degree. Like these demonic attacks are obviously declaring unto you that you're doing something correct, but it's also the case that you need to really understand your priorities at this time and reorient your priorities. It's almost like it's a daily thing for me now. I'm constantly renewing and reshaping. Obviously, in the Bible, in Romans, is it 12:2 or 12:10? It's in Romans, I know that, but it says more so along the lines that be constantly renewed by your mind so that you can see what is made to be perfect and true and is the perfect will of God, something along those lines. But I know the part is that I'm really thinking of is the constantly renewed by your own mind. And I'm doing that all the time now. I am becoming a fountain of ideas, and it's great to see these kinds of opportunities available, but it's also, I can see that a lot of these things are temptations, and I won't say who exactly is trying to buy me out, but it's a specific app that it's like a faith-based app, and I won't say what it is, but there's a reasonable offer recently that was made unto me. But the thing is that I would have to sell a lot of Regal change, and I don't want to do that. I'm not about that. Regal change, this is my baby. This is my baby. I don't want to give up my baby. And I've been working really hard for this for the last two years. Since October really was when I started to go. October of 2022 is when I really started to go hard with YouTube and really started to be consistent. And so it's been just over 2 years, and I don't want to just give that up. And I've learned a lot, and I really appreciate you guys tuning in and supporting me. And I also know that the devil is tempting me with these women. You know, you might get women trying to give you stuff and ask you out. And I'm not saying what exactly happened to me recently with the women, but there's a lot of opportunities that would be really fun, and sure, they're tempting, but they would never really get me to the place where I want to go, which is really showing me that, again, I need to constantly renew what's happening. I need to constantly not necessarily re-strategize, because you don't necessarily want to create a strategy and then go through the strategy, and then halfway through, you just change it because it might not be panning out the way that you thought. And even with the Regal Change Academy, for example, with all of these classes and the Bible study sessions as well that we have in there, the Regal Assembly calls, they're not really shaping into what I thought they would, but that's okay because it's even better than I thought it was going to be. And it just goes to show that God's plan and God's will is always going to be above whatever it is you think. And that seems to be this continual thing, right? Where it's almost like whenever God is urging you to do something, he shows you also what to quit so that you can, and what to let go of, whether it's people or things or patterns of behavior. Because really the biggest thing that I think the best people in the world do is they know how to form better decisions. They know how to really think about what they're doing and not just impulsively do things. Now, they're not necessarily unwilling to improvise, but if they're going to create a strategy, they're going to see through that strategy. They're going to see it through. They're going to go for it. And they're going to do whatever it is the strategy needs you to be doing or needs them to be doing so that they can reach the outcome that they want. Well, so what exactly is the outcome that you want? Well, it depends on what you're doing. It depends on your niche. It depends on your situation with your family or your spouse or your business. I mean, there's a lot of different things that can go on, but you can bet your bottom dollar, literally, where because these people are going to want, some of these people are going to want to buy you out. Some people are going to want to sell you a dream, and you have to be capable of discerning what exactly is what. And I made a grave mistake within the last couple of years with business that I don't ever plan to make again. And it ended up costing me thousands of dollars. And, you know, for what? Well, it was just because I knew that there was a possibility of a risk, of course, because in this world, opportunity and risk are really one and the same, and it is a pay to play kind of world that we live in. But my aim is to never put somebody in a position to where they're destined to fail. That's never my goal. And I'm not saying that I'm going to have all the answers and I'm going to be able to provide everything that everybody needs. But what I will say is that I know exactly what it takes to make certain building blocks and to give people the knowledge and information that they can deem to be useful and in accordance with their own life, to give them a sense of wisdom and direction, because I don't want other people to go through the same shit that I had to go through. And one of those things that I see all too often with people is they don't know how to let go of people or situations and change their behavior to really understand what is serving them and what is not serving them. You know, what is communicating about whatever here and there. Is this text, let's say, is this text really worth sending? Is it really worth the time and effort to text this person? Or what else could you be doing to better spend with your time right now? Is there something more that you could be doing and you might not know where to start? And that's okay. Just start somewhere. Sometimes it's not even about knowing where to start. It's just about starting. And that's exactly what people that want to buy you out don't want you to do. Because, and this is why you know you're on a good path when people want to buy you out. Because if people are already invested in you emotionally, then that means that they have something to lose within themselves, they feel like. And so a lot of the times when people want to buy you out, it's mostly because they're somehow emotionally invested and they want to capitalize on that emotional investment because they want to see where you can go with them. Like basically what they're just trying to do is ride your momentum. That's what they're trying to do. And if you say no to these people, you better watch out, because it's not always going to be the case that people are going to be, teeter-tottering with you fairly. Sometimes people just want all of the leverage no matter what. And don't get me wrong, I would say that you should strive to have the leverage in as many relationships, or especially if you're a man, you should strive to have as much leverage in as many relationships business and personal as possible. And most of the time, the leverage that you have is just simply the ability to walk away. If you can truly walk away and know that you'll be all right, man, that's powerful. And if you are confident that you can set yourself up to be resourceful, that's another skill. Because it's not always going to be the case that you're going to have the resources necessary to build what you want to build. If I could right now, I would love to build a homestead. I would love to do that. But the biggest cost that it would have for me right now is just buying the land and getting student loan debt paid off, because that's really the only major debt that I have. And I don't have any personal debt at this point apart from student loans. And there's a little business debt that I have, but that's not a big deal at all. And it's not necessarily anything that I'm worried about in any way, shape, or form. But that student loan debt, worst decision, I would say, in some sense of my life, because student loans, it's like you invest into the system without really knowing what you're investing in. And oftentimes you're not even really investing, you're just spending. You're just spending your time, your energy, your money, and you're sacrificing your future self. That's another thing, that what happens when you're bought out or when you sell your soul, what you're really doing is you're betraying your future self. It's really one thing to betray your past self, but to betray your future self, man, sometimes I don't really know which is worse, because in some way betraying your past self means that you're going to completely and utterly lie to yourself about situations based on the inconsistencies and the superfluous attitude that you have toward life. But then on the other hand, if you sacrifice your future self, it's almost like you are blatantly sabotaging that which you could be, and you are no longer on the side of who you could be. And so it's kind of a catch-22 of whether or not which one is worse. They're both really terrible. But right now, I realize that with the student loan stuff, I sacrificed my future self without even realizing it. And it is what it is. And I'm not complaining, because I have a plan. I know exactly what I'm going to do for the next 5 to 10 years. I'm going to pay it off before then, for sure. But I have contingency plans if my plan that I originally have doesn't pan out. This is where you have to have a strategy. And this is one of the reasons why we're studying the art of war in the Regal Change Academy right now. The art of war here. One of the reasons we're studying that is so that we can have a baseline, because in this academy, I've thought about this. It's because people want to do stuff with my academy as well. It's really something. But I want this to be, I don't want to do any of the skincare products. I don't want to do protein shakes. I don't want to do that kind of stuff. I want to keep this raw and real for you guys, and authentic and unedited to the best of my ability, and just completely stream of consciousness, chain of consciousness, because that's just the way that these videos, I think, can be the most relatable and authentic and informative and insightful, and hopefully edifying to some degree. But one of the reasons we're reading The Art of War is because, in the academy, if I were to look down the line 3 to 5 years, let's say, God forbid, something happens to our government in the United States. And this was really our mindset going into the election last year, was if something happened in the United States and there were certain things that really got the terrible ball rolling and terrible things happened, what would we want a community of godly people to look like? Well, we'd want the men and the women, but specifically the men, to be knowledgeable in warfare. We'd want people, both men and women, to be knowledgeable in what leads you to hell. So that's one of the reasons why we did the 7 Deadly Sins classes as well a couple months ago. And we've got a bunch of other classes in there, but all of these courses and classes are designed to just give you little stepping stones for your own life so that you can actually move incrementally upon your own path and learn what you can so that you can be that godlike savage if you're a man. Or if you're a woman, you can be that warm, inviting, feminine, empathetic woman. And it's going to take certain kinds of knowledge to do that. And that's why we're reading about this and learning about this, is because I want to be able to share knowledge and and talk about what I'm inspired to do and be paid for it. And I'm not necessarily just a teacher. I'm also a student. I know that because I follow Christ. I'm always going to be learning. But I also understand that if I can share as much as I can and I can give that spark to somebody that can help them change their lives, because I'm not going to do that. I can't change anybody else's life except for themselves. I might be able to give you certain ways of looking at things or perspectives, or I might be able to be a sounding board, like for one-on-one consultations. Some people that I have, I've described this before, it's almost like people just have this spiritual knot that is wrapped in them. And sometimes they just need to talk about things so those knots can come out. And then once those knots come out, there's sometimes, more often than not, there's revelations of these deeper knots that they thought the root of this thing that was going on was over here, but actually the root, once you take out this knot over here, the root actually wraps around over to this area, and it's like, well, what happened here? Well, then what happened here? Well, what happened here? Okay, so now we can follow the true chain of events that go back to this. So that's what often happens. But often people don't see that until they have somebody that has really gone through it themselves, has done the work themselves to see that. And that's why I know for a fact that these people that want to buy us out, if you want to sell your soul, that's your prerogative, but I highly recommend not doing it. I had situations in the past, specifically at the time of the pandemic, where I was offered a position at a job working for another company, making significantly more than I would be. I'm talking a lot of money more than, well, not a lot of money more like in general, but a lot more money than I was making. Okay, it was definitely more than 40%. So big pay increase, but I would have had to get the, and I decided not to do it. And now looking back, I know that was God testing me, and I passed that test. And I am very confident that I'm going to be passing these tests. And if you're going through anything like this right now, and you're feeling like, man, if I betrayed my future self, I could really do a lot with what I'm given, though. That's the devil. That's the devil right there. Be mindful of that. Be wary of that. And recognize that this is a force of evil trying to make you go off your square and fall off your square. So with all that being said, I do hope that this message was useful and insightful. If you do want to sign up for our secret retreat in the Regal Change Academy, do so by sending me an email at regalchange@gmail.com, or you can just join the Regal Change Academy and talk to me there. It's going to be a 1 day of a full meditation retreat where we have an opening and closing meeting with guided sessions and meditations throughout the day. And if you're in the Regal Change Academy, you're going to get a 50% off discount. So it's only going to be $10 if you're in the Regal Change Academy. But if you're not, then it's going to be $20. And I also want to differentiate the difference between the paid community and the free Discord. The free Discord community is going to be based obviously in Discord, where we have a variety of free resources and tools available for you to help you with your fitness, your nutrition, dream interpretation, meditation, etc. Then in the paid community, we just have pretty much all of that stuff and more amplified. Plus, in that paid community, we have the Godlike Savage workshop, we have entrepreneurship workshops, and we also have a the Art of War class series happening right now. We've got more class series coming down the line. As a part of the membership, you also have 2 weekly Bible study calls as well as a weekly Regal Assembly call. Like I was talking about earlier, where we have a variety of different topics and subjects that we go through. And with all that being said, I do appreciate everybody for moving from the YouTube platform over to X, Rumble, and Instagram recently. I do appreciate you guys' extra support, and peace be with you all. Till next time.